I've been thinking a lot lately about the wokeness that's permeated the big franchises like Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, and now the Batman universe with this Batwoman TV series from the CW. Of course, we've talked about this train wreck many times in the past, and it's making headlines again with the launch of the Season 2 trailer. How was this show renewed for a second season? How is this a thing? But just a brief recap. You remember Batwoman? That show that gave us such gloriously cringe-inducing lines like,
I need you to fix his suit.
The suit is literal perfection.
It will be. When it fits a woman.
and
I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
despite being reviled by audiences and receiving enormous criticism from comic book fans, this dreadfully poor quality series, with horrendous writing and acting and double facepalm-inducing wokeness, has somehow managed to remain on the air. Part of me thinks that the show was only renewed in order to piss people off, like they renewed it just to spite the show's detractors. Obviously, it receives heaps of praise and love from woke mainstream critics who wouldn't dare speak ill of a show about a lesbian superhero and a diversity-filled cast, because that's all you need, right? Forget about the stories and quality of writing. As long as it ticks all of the intersectional boxes and everything else, that's all you need. And they certainly wouldn't talk ill of a main character who is literally overthrowing the patriarchy by usurping her male predecessor. But audiences are obviously more honest, as demonstrated by the disparity in Rotten Tomatoes ratings, for the first season at least. Nevertheless, there's almost something kind of admirable about a show that just shamelessly soldiers on and plows through the audience disapproval and stays true to its objective of being breathtakingly shite. The persistence is almost worthy of some kind of admiration, I suppose. No, almost. You know, preserving with a tried and obviously flawed and unpopular formula means at least they're consistent, right? It goes without saying that the show's ratings are in the toilet, so you'd have to wonder, what actually keeps this show on the air? Is it some kind of tax write-off or something? Is it a dare? Is it meant to be a loss leader? Is this a troll TV series? I mean, they must have known what kind of reaction that lines like this were going to get.
The suit is literal perfection.
It will be. When it fits a woman. I'm not about to let a man take credit for a woman's work.
Are we being trolled here? And therefore, by complaining about the show, are we doing exactly what they want us to do? Is it essentially a not-so-obvious parody series? Is it made to simply curry favour with the woke mainstream establishment and buy some brownie points with the lefty lovies? There is certainly something to consider here. The vast majority of organic attention that this show seems to get is from social media audiences and YouTube content creators criticizing it in their videos. It gets scorn, derision, and ridicule from lots of independent YouTubers. And then, of course, you can get mainstream media publications running defense for the show and labeling its detractors as toxic, bigoted trolls, etc.
The city needs a hero. It needs a Batwoman.
Look at all that virtue signaling in the new trailer, by the way. Gotta love those LGBT bat signs in there.
Time to be powerful.
Time to be powerful? As the Critical Drinker mentioned recently in his video about this, simply claiming to be strong and powerful doesn't actually make it so. This kind of forced female empowerment messaging doesn't feel in any way earned. It was the same with the previous Batwoman, Kate Kane. It's this idea that the hero doesn't have to learn anything, or go through any kind of coming-of-age process, or have any real origin story of their own. They can just be a superhero by throwing on the suit of an actual male superhero who's gone through all of that development, and somehow inherit their mantle and capabilities. It was similar with Captain Marvel, the idea that the protagonist is already amazing and incredibly tough and heroic. She just needs the system and men to get out of her way in order to flourish. Pure feminist nonsense. Anyway, all the while this Batwoman series is receiving, well, undeserved amounts of exposure through negative publicity on social media. I guess some publicity is better than nothing, right? At least we're still talking about it because it's really bad. So one wonders if this isn't part of the plan. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But, you know, it's hard to imagine that this show could be any worse. I mean, how could they make it any worse if they tried? So, is this Batwoman TV series supposed to be as bad as it actually is? And are we, as pop culture commentators, simply falling for this and feeding into this strategy by giving it so much attention and focus? Perhaps what we should be doing instead is simply ignoring the show completely. Maybe then they'll get the message that this series isn't even worth ragging on.